With everyone talking about how they want the Nintendo Switch 2 and where's the Nintendo Switch 2 and what's happening with the Switch 2 and Switch this, Switch that, whatever, today I want to make a comprehensive breakdown of every major Nintendo Switch 2 rumor so that you have all the information and you don't have to keep watching these daily Switch 2 videos that are based on very little evidence, okay? So today we're going to break everything down, so let's get into it. At the end of the day, I think the Switch 2 is going to come out when it comes out, and it's interesting to speculate on when the timing could be or whatever, and there's been some rumors that maybe it's sometime, within the next week or something, and obviously I think that is very incorrect. It's not really going to happen. I'm a firm believer that we're probably looking at a 2025 release. What we do know for certain is that Nintendo put out their only thing that they've ever put out on the successor to the Nintendo Switch is that the successor to the Nintendo Switch will be announced before March 2025. And so we can expect an announcement of some sort within there. Does that mean a whole reveal trailer like what we saw with the original Switch, or does that mean like a press release? We don't really know, and there's a lot to speculate on within there, so let me know down below what you think specifically. But what I'm leaning towards is some sort of really early announcement, maybe in January or early February, that outlines the Nintendo Switch 2 and what we can expect from the game. Because if you look at the release calendar, we really have Donkey Kong Country and now surprisingly Xenoblade Chronicles X coming also in March. So there's the basics of when we can expect this system, but what can we expect from this system? That's the main question that a lot of people have been asking, so let's discuss it. So first of all, this discourse has been all over the place. People thought it'd just basically be a whole new type of gimmick and not a Switch at all, and then on the other side, some people just wanted the same exact form factor with just better hardware, and honestly, that seems to be the case from these leaks. These leaks surfaced a little bit ago, and while it's still not confirmed, obviously, it does seem credible. And this is essentially what people are thinking the Homie's gonna look like. It looks to be sporting an 8-inch LED display and a sleek-looking Joycons. This has also been corroborated because some YouTuber got their hands on the 3D models and actually printed them. So the idea there was that, yes, it is going to be 8 inches long, which is about an inch bigger than the OLED display and a good bit bigger than the original Switch, which is cool. Now, the Joy-Cons are an interesting topic as well because a while ago, Nintendo patented a magnetic attachment gimmick thing, and a lot of people are thinking that's what they're going to do here. And honestly, I think it's smart because those rails can break off pretty easily, and if you don't treat the Switch like your freaking baby, like I do, the wear and tear can really screw those sliders up. And so I'm assuming it'll be a sort of magnetic type snap-in thing, and then there'll be some sort of clip in the back that keeps it all in place while you play. Overall, I do think that's a great setup, and I think it's a huge improvement from what we're looking at now. It can also go with a new Nintendo Switch, like, 2 logo, instead of the sliding down, it can click into there, which I think it'd be a cool way to say, oh, hey, it's still basically a Switch, but this thing's new, so it can tie into marketing and things as well. Now, staying a little bit with the Joy-Cons, let's talk about the form factor, and it seems to be saying about the same, which I don't really mind at all. Now, quickly, I do want to talk about something that isn't really a leak or anything super concrete, but something I really want, and a lot of people seem to be speculating on and assuming that we're going to have in the next system. We need Hall effect joysticks. So if you don't know, Hall effect joysticks are basically magnetic type joysticks where they're a bit different from the normal Switch stuff, okay? So here's a normal Switch controller with this Joy-Con right here. This thing, there's rubber in here. The rubber gets lifted up, dust can get in there. That's usually what causes Joy-Con drift and things like that. Magnets inside of there that hold everything center will basically alleviate that issue. And that should fix everything. And it's kind of started to become a bit of an industry standard with big companies like 8BitDo incorporating it into just about every single one of their controllers, and their controllers are some of the best for the Nintendo Switch system because they can last a while. I've had so many Joy-Con that I've broken to Joy-Con drift. These themselves, I had to literally send into Nintendo to get them fixed. All of my Pro controllers are screwed up, except for my one that I got in like 2 years ago. So it's been a frustrating thing, and I think that they need to not have a controversy like that surrounding the Switch 2. And if they come out of the bat swinging with this marketing telling us these are going to be Hall effect joysticks, bing bang, we're good to go. Now this is a bit of a newer leak, But this is basically a third grader sketch that came out a week or so ago that shows off what a hypothetical dock in Kickstand could look like for the Nintendo Switch 2. The dock is obviously a fatty. The dock is a huge fatty, I don't even know, it's thick as hell. I don't know why it's that thick, maybe it's just the drawing style, because obviously this isn't the most official, well-made thing, but for some reason it's circulating everywhere and people seem to be giving it a lot of credibility, so I did want to touch on it here. This is what the dock looks like. It seems to have similar ports and things like that, but it's just fatter and rounder, similar to things like the OLED dock, but fucking thick as hell. Meaning, maybe there's some extra technology in there or something, like fans that can cool it down, and maybe that can lead to upscaling for TV mode, which would be awesome. That's purely me speculating. That's not based on any leaks, really, but that would be cool. That'd be great if that was the case, and then I could forgive how chunky that thing is. But the other information we get from the sketch is that the kickstand is going to be different. Obviously, on the original Nintendo Switch, the kickstand is horrible. It's just that little flimsy thing that can honestly fall off at any point. It can't stay up unless you're on a perfectly flat table, all of those. And that's just been a big point of contention for people for most of the Switch lives. So they reinvented it in 2019 with the release of the Nintendo Switch OLED, and it had a much better kickstand. That kickstand is phenomenal. I've never had any issues with it. It's just it's really like a sturdy kickstand, and you can put it pretty much anywhere. It's just a slab straight across. And so this one looks a little bit like a mix of the in-between of both, where it's still not as sturdy looking as what we have with the OLED of basically just being a panel off the back. It looks, a bit different, but it does seem like they learned their lesson and they realized we do need a bit of a better kickstand because it's flying off for most people. So I'm really hoping that they basically make it as sturdy as the OLED one was, because it has this nice sort of, it's tough to move, you know what I mean? So it feels like it really locks in place there. The normal Switch one, you click it into place and it can fall off. I don't love it. Going back to those Nintendo Switch leaks, there's some random ports on the top of the console, which I didn't touch on earlier because I think it could tie into something with this dock. Maybe, there's a new way to dock the system because there's a USB-C port on the very top of this system. Maybe there's two, there's one on the bottom and one on the top, so that when you're playing in kickstand mode, you can still charge it, or you can plug in controllers directly to the console in handheld mode as well, or something like that. I don't really know what their thought process is here. There's a big chance that these leaks that we're seeing are simply dev kits, and dev kits can often look very different than the final product. So something like a port like this that seems a little random might just be a thing for developers and not a thing that's actually on the final product. We have to remember that with all of these things, leaks and all this stuff, it's not super credible still, because though it is technically a leak and we think we really know what the Switch is going to look like, nothing is of course confirmed until Nintendo puts their foot down and makes that announcement. So until then, again, this is pretty much all speculation, but this is speculation that I'm breaking down that has been circulating the internet for, months, if not years at this point, honestly. So that's just my little disclaimer about these leaks. Again, the actual system could come out and look pretty different, and these could be more modeled after what a dev kit looks like, okay? You have a dev kit for the PS5 and the actual PS5, right? They look fairly different. Now, alongside all of those hardware modifications and those, the changes that you can see, let's talk about what's inside of this console. What is going to boost the Switch 2 to have more power than the original Switch and all that kind of stuff. So diving into that, first I do want to talk about NVIDIA. NVIDIA is the company that makes the Switch chip that powers the entire thing, obviously. Now, I don't know too much about the inner workings of all of these consoles. I've messed around with, I made a Minty Pie. I don't know where that thing is. Little retro console thingy. I've messed around. I understand, motherboard and all that, so I built my own PC. I get it. I don't super know all the, logistics of it all the time, so if you want a more specific breakdown, I don't know, MVG, somebody like that could probably help you out a bit more. But just from what I understand, and what people and some scattered reports have been saying, I just want to talk about what the internals of this baddie could look like. So I think we start out with a brand new NVIDIA chipset, which should help all of the operation and everything in the Switch itself. Ideally, we'd get some improved storage and things of that sort for consumers, but the big rumor has been the inclusion of DLSS. So if you don't know, DLSS is a type of AI upscaling technology that can basically artificially boost either graphics or the performance of a game in order to fully take advantage of the system it's on, right? So the Switch doesn't have to put out native 4K, native 60 gameplay, but what it can do is put out, 1080p 30, and DLSS can upscale the fuck out of that stuff using AI and sort of match the competition in a way. It's not going to be as great as it could be if it was native, of course, because that's just how things work, but I think it's a great inclusion and could be a really good thing for third parties. Third parties on the Switch have struggled, especially of recent years. We've got some miracle ports like The Witcher and Skyrim and Nier Automata, things like that are pretty cool, but they still run pretty poorly when you compare them to their other counterparts on the other systems, even from last generation, right? And so if we're looking at this new Switch that needs to be competitive in a way with the PS5 and Xbox Series X at the least, because we can only assume that PS6 and Xbox Cloud version or whatever they put out next is coming in the next couple years, they need to make sure that they have a handle on what third parties can do with the system, right? We need some great equalizer, and I think DLSS has that potential. Obviously, we're not still going to get the quality of something like a PS5, from what I'm expecting, but DLSS, it's kind of the magic sauce, I don't like AI at all. I think it's terrible. I think it's horrible for the industry, but I do think it's really good for things like this. Don't let them do anything creative, right? But give them some shit to fix, right? We've got a problem. We've got a big problem, right? This game isn't running at 60 on the Switch. How do we do that without decreasing the resolution to 480p? DLSS, you know what I mean? It's probably not as simple as what I'm explaining here, but that is the rough idea that I have. And so if I'm spreading misinformation, I would like to apologize. You can correct me down in the comments below, like you guys always seem to do, which I do appreciate, by the way. That's not me being sarcastic. I actually really do appreciate it because sometimes I am wrong. I make mistakes. I'm learning like you guys are, Now we're gonna sort of branch into games a little bit, just a teeny tiny bit. Okay, there's been a lot of rumors about backwards compatibility, leaks, things like that. Credible leakers have been gone on record as saying, hey, it's gonna be backwards compatible, alright? It's probably gonna be backwards compatible. And at this point, I tend to believe them because why the hell would it not be backwards compatible? The Switch is continuously getting brand new games that are phenomenal, and people have been asking to have on a Nintendo system for years. And so to obliterate all of that progress and make you basically start over with your library would absolutely suck. Yes, it would be better for Nintendo as a company and money-wise, but with their relationship with consumers, and I feel like how much they do sort of value that and care about it, it's not a good move. It's really stupid. So I think we have to go with a solid backwards compatibility with all first-party games on the Nintendo Switch, and as many as they possibly can, to get crossed over and all that thing, because from the looks of it as well, the cartridges for the Switch from the leaks and things look to be fairly similar, just like a small upgrade. So think of how you could throw a DS cartridge into the 3DS, right? It is basically the same type of vibe, but they're just a little bit different, so you can't obviously throw a 3DS cartridge into a DS, you know what I mean? So I'm just thinking about it like that, and that's what makes sense to me. Now, a little bit similar to this, Nintendo Switch Online. Is that going to carry over? What's that looking like? Yes, it is. We are building out a library, a subscription-based library of retro games, and honestly, I think they're doing a pretty good job. There's been a lot of criticism about it, but if you like retro games and you haven't played a lot of these, I feel like there is a lot of value here. I mean, I've put all together throughout all of them, I've probably put about 100 hours in all the combined systems, because I do think it's got a decent amount of value and it's not that expensive for what it is, especially when fucking PlayStation are charging like $160 a month. I didn't realize they charged that much. I got charged that much for 1 month and I was pissed, dude. I did not realize I was paying so much fucking money for that. Like, how crazy. $160 a month? I'm sorry, I'll take my $50 a year. Obviously, online's not as great, things like that, but it is what it is at the end of the day. So, backlog stuff, I do believe it's all going to start carrying over, and Switch Online and your account and everything, I think, is going to carry over, as well as along with probably digital purchases, from what I'm understanding. that could be up in there. I'm not really entirely sure how that would work, I guess. But that's just some speculation on my part. And the last thing that I find interesting, that isn't specifically a leak, is the Nintendo Switch MMO thing that has been play tested and a thing for a second. It's basically like you're building your beacon and there's a community hub area and there's UGC content and things like that. I think that's the type of game that they're experimenting with on the Switch to see if there's interest, to maybe see how they would build their servers, and then they'll probably go on and make the actual game a part of Switch Online or something for the Switch 2, from what I'm assuming. And I think that'd probably just be their foray into that genre, to experiment with things like the Fortnite formula in a specific way. Obviously, it's not a battle royale, but we can still see like UGC content, which is pretty big on Fortnite, and things like Roblox and all that kind of deal. So I think overall, the Switch 2 is going to be a powerhouse of a console. It looks, from all the leaks, like there's going to be a lot of improvements here, but the same form factor of what we have now. It's going to be a hybrid console from what we can see, with nice, convenient backwards compatibility with the Nintendo Switch, everything, you know? And Nintendo Switch Online, and all of that looks to be crossing over. I'm really excited for the next console. I watch a lot of the Switch 2 discussion videos, and when there's new rumors and stuff, I always see it on Twitter, but I feel like I don't really like to talk about it too much because it's always very small, like, things that don't seem that substantial. Like the whole ukulele thing. Confirmed, hypothetically, for the next Nintendo console, but it's like, yeah, if it's gonna come out and not be on the Switch, I don't, like, it just makes sense. Like, things like that to me, I'm like, well, yeah, it's logical, you know? So, I don't know. Obviously, like, if you like those types of videos, keep watching the videos. But, like, if you just needed a recap of what everything we know about the Nintendo Switch 2 at this point, rumor-wise, leak-wise, this is what we got right now. Of course, all of this could be incorrect, you know? This is just things that have been sort of corroborated by different people in the industry and sort of leaked or talked about by a variety of different outlets that I found sort of interesting. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, drop it a subscribe. Check out this video, it's a banger, it's a vibe, it's a good time. I'll see you over there. Happy Halloween! I'm gonna dress up as Daisy. Let me know your costumes down in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Put some pictures in my Discord. Join the Discord if you want. Got all sorts of social media stuff. Follow me everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, whatever the fuck. Thank you guys. Goodbye.